the emotion of peace. It's not that the acceptance will be created by an emotion.
So when I feel this, when I say, okay, I have this emotion of fear, I will be able later to say, yes, but during this meditation we had another emotion, and I called it acceptance. And I find it out again from the word.
Yes. Okay. Well, maybe you don't need the emotion which is allowing you, the belief, the new belief, which is allowing you to accept. Okay. Okay. Anything else that you would like to ask? Yes.
The thing I was working with was not proper. I was working with the feeling of anxiety.
Yes.
Over a certain situation.
Yes. And you had anxiety about a situation, and you couldn't find another way of perceiving this situation?
I mean, maybe I wasn't concentrated enough.
No, you don't need to be concentrated. You just need to be letting go, to allow yourself to perceive it differently. Okay, it will come. It's very effective, and it will work. If you use it, it will work. You will eventually have to do that. Okay, I think what I would like to do now is show you a small DVD on EFT. Okay. Now what you will see here, EFT will be the next method that we will be employing, and probably we should have employed it before the freeze frame, because it's more effective in letting go of negativity, and then we could employ the freeze frame. You will see here doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists talking about their experience with EFT, and some patients also. Okay. How many of you know EFT? Just a few. Okay.
Pain was in every part of my body. For many years, I stopped needing a doctor.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I cannot find any traces of it.
You can stop this now.
In my body.
I had over 80 allergies.
Thanks. I had rejected the concept of EFT for 18 years. And by believing, my belief was that there could be no such simple way for someone to overcome an emotion or a physical problem. Okay? And then I realized that I wasn't being scientific. As a scientist, I should try it and then reject it. And so I tried it about 10 years ago, and then I've done it with about 2,000 people since then, and taught hundreds of seminars on it. And it really, really works. It's unbelievable how quickly someone can overcome a negative emotion or even a physical problem. A headache, a backache, a shoulder ache. And it's unbelievable how often that improvement is continuous. It may not always be continuous. It may not always be easy, but in general, it's the most effective method that I have found for helping someone let go of a negative emotion. Now, the main employment of EFT in the beginning was panic, anxiety, and fear. And then the second usage was for love pain, for the pain of losing a loved one, either through a separation or a divorce or death. But it works with all of the emotions, and it works with all of the physical problems that are created by emotions. Basically, it works on the energy and emotional level. Now we will learn it after the break for the lunch. Is there anything that you would like to ask about the movie that you saw? Any questions that you have concerning, yes?
Are there any special courses for us to really get involved in?
Are there any, what courses?
Special courses?
Yes. First of all, I have brought a DVD which has about 4 hours of my teaching in English. on EFT. Yeah, that's the DVD. Okay. And secondly, there is the book. Does anyone have the book that says Energy Psychology? Yeah, and this is the book. Okay. So these two together will really, you can learn it and you can employ it. And you will have 90% success. If there's something you're not having success with, see Ahmed. Okay? Call him up, have him do a personal session with you, or if I come again next year, I can also work with you. Sometimes we need help because we're not being specific enough, or because there are childhood experiences which are preventing, or because there's what we call hidden benefits, that there's a part of me that doesn't want to let go of this problem. And there are ways to get around this, okay? But there are a few times when we may need help. Anything else that you would like to ask about the EFT? You haven't learned it yet, but having seen it, okay? Excuse me?
I think it's excellent.
It is excellent, and I'm very grateful for it. Here you can see the points, basically. Okay, the top of the head. Okay, the eyebrow point, the side of the eyes, below the eyes, above the lips, below the lips, the collarbone point, under the arms. Okay, and these are the main points that we will be tapping on while we are focusing on the negative emotion. So if you're saying, I have anxiety about something, you will choose the anxiety. And especially effective for any kind of fears. It's interesting that it doesn't matter how long you have had a fear or how intense it is. It matters how many roots it has. What do I mean by that? You could have a fear of heights all of your life, which doesn't have very many roots, maybe has just one experience or two. And that will go away in 5 minutes. Some fears that we have, that because of repetitive experiences, 100 times, 1,000 times, we felt rejected or something like this, that may take more time. So it doesn't, the intensity doesn't matter, the length of time doesn't matter. What matters is how many experiences have created this. You understand that? Okay. Any questions before we break for lunch? Yes?
It sounds too good to be true.
Yes, that's what I thought. It sounds too good to be true.
The questions when you make it yourself or to somebody else.
You do it yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah. You can do it on yourself. Huh? Excuse me?
You can practice it on somebody else as well.
You can use it to help somebody else, yes, but you must become very proficient before doing that. You must know how to do it on yourself. Also, if you're going to practice it someone else, you should have some knowledge of psychology and what might be behind that. Because what happens with the EFT, sometimes the symptoms disappear, but the causes appear. Okay? In which case, we need to have some expertise on how to go a little bit deeper. So I would suggest that for now, that you learn how to do it on yourself. And after at least 6 months, and if you're aware of psychology and what kind of beliefs might be behind what kind of problems, you become able to help other people too. You can learn to become a practitioner. I have an internet training program in which I train life coaches, and that's in English. And the first year is learning how to help people emotionally. It's how to ask the proper questions. So it's 38 lessons, which I send you by email, in which each week you read that, and then you do practicing on the internet with the other participants, and you learn to ask questions by chatting on the email, on the internet. Then you send me your chat, and I evaluate it. And I send it back to you with suggestions. So the first year is what I said, learning the psychology, learning how to help people understand their beliefs. The second year is EFT, in which I send you about 30 DVDs, which you start to watch and learn how to do the process. Some of them are with myself, and some of them are with Gary Craig. So it's 3 stages, the Life Coach Seminar, but the first 2 stages are that. The third stage is even more deeper understanding of human psychology.
But since when does it exist?
What, the internet course?
No, the FT.
About 1985, 1990, around there. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, we'll take a break, and as of your agreement, we will be here in about an hour, 2 o'clock, okay? Page of your papers, the last page, okay? And there you will see a list of the books that will enable you to continue to study these subjects. I believe that all of the books are important, but I would like to point out the ones that I feel that are most important for this meeting, for this seminar. The first I would suggest would be The Psychology of Happiness, which has an overall explanation of human happiness, how it's created, how we lose it, and how we can recreate it. The second book I would suggest is Free to be Happy with Energy Psychology, which explains the method of EFT that we're going to be employing now. I sent this book to Gary Craig, and he commented well on it. Okay, he was impressed by what? By the aspects. Now, we're not going to be able to talk about aspects today. What I'm going to present to you in about a half an hour, which usually takes about 3 or 4 hours. Okay. If you're interested, Ahmed can give you a seminar on that, huh? Or I can come back again and we can work on this, okay? But leaving today, you will have a basic way, you have the basic knowledge of employing it. That's about 80% of it. The next 20% is being adept in knowing what to tap on. And this book will help you with that. It takes specific issues such as loss of a loved one, fears, health issues, addiction issues, and explains to you what aspects you might want to work on. The other book that I would suggest for this seminar is this, Dealing with Testing Times. It's a book that I created specifically for this period in which humanity is going through tests, and how we can remain strong, healthy, and happy in crises. Now, the crisis could be an economic crisis, it can be an earthquake, it can be a personal crisis, it can be a death in the family, or a divorce, or any kind of emotional strain. And this book has a lot of different things about what I'm talking about today. It has the Sedona method, it has the freeze frame method, it has EFT, it has how to manifest your goals. So it's a small book with a lot of practical information about dealing with these days. And the other, if you want to start meditating, The Art of Meditation. Like I said, that my life is separated into 2 lives. My life before I began meditating and my life after I started meditating. You know, how that has changed the way that I perceive life and experience life. Also below that, on the last page, you have a list of the links that you can go to in order to benefit from our site. There's all kinds of free videos, free acoustic files, free articles, and there's about 400 video clips on YouTube with the seminar, the self-knowledge seminar on EFT, Any of you that were not able to get the DVD, you can go to YouTube and put in my name and put in EFT, and you will come to a playlist with about 10 small videos, which is the contents of that DVD. Okay? Also, I would suggest that you sign up for our newsletter so that you will be receiving twice a month small articles and information about seminars taking place. Okay? Any questions about those practical details before we begin? Okay. Now, if we have time later, I might try to explain to you why or how I believe EFT works. But I think it's more important that you learn it and take it home and work with it. And if time, later we can talk about the theory, okay? So let's just learn how to do it. As simple as that. There are 3 steps. There's the setup, there's the tapping procedure, and there's the balancing procedure, okay? In the setup, we start out by focusing on the emotion or the physical phenomena that we want to work on. So you can now choose a specific emotion for which, if you think of the stimulus, it could be your fear about something, your anxiety about something, it could be about yourself, it could be about your children, it could be anger, but I would suggest something here. Anger is a secondary emotion. And it won't always disappear with EFT. Why? Because there's an underlying emotion. And the underlying emotion is pain, or injustice, or fear, or guilt. So most of our aggressive emotions are secondary. If it's anger, or rage, or hate, behind that I will find pain. So it's better to work on the root emotion, the emotion behind the secondary emotion. We get better results this way. So you will bring to mind a certain situation which, when you think about that, it creates that emotion. Alternatively, you could work on a pain in your body or a discomfort in your bodies. Is anyone having a headache at this moment? Everybody's okay? The food was good? Okay. Any difficulty in breathing? Anyone have asthma or an allergy? EFT works wonderfully for asthma and for allergies, okay? So if you don't have a physical situation, then you'll choose an emotional. The other thing that you can use it for is if you want to stop taking some substance, such as chocolate or sweets or a cigarette. You can put the cigarette in front of you and look at it and measure your desire for that. And you can do the tapping procedure for the desire. So we have emotions, physical discomfort, such as pain, and desires. So before we begin, I would like you to choose an issue. Choose an emotion that you have frequently lately. The most important emotion from which you would like to get free. You have a question? You didn't raise your hand? Oh. You have a question?
I have constantly in the last month the problem of anxiety.
Anxiety. About what?
About losing someone that I truly really want.
Okay. So you will say, the setup phrase would be, even though I have this anxiety about losing, and you will say the name of the person, I love and accept myself. You see the setup phrase. Even though until now I have felt anxiety, when I think of losing this person, you say the specific person, I love and accept myself. You have to be specific. You cannot say, even though I don't accept myself, I love and accept myself. Or even though I feel fear. You have to be specific about the situation in which you lose your self-worth. Is it when your mother criticizes you? Or when you fail at doing something? Or when your children are not well? Do you not feel okay with yourself? Okay? So you have to be specific. One of the main reasons people don't get results with EFT is they're not specific enough. This is one of the main reasons. The second reason is they're tapping on the wrong emotion. There's another issue, and they're not tapping on the right issue. The third reason is that there are childhood experiences which are generating this emotion, and although we're tapping on the present issue, the real issue is in the past. And someday, if you choose, we can work on the inner child, healing the childhood experiences. Okay, so choose a specific thing, a specific stimulus in your life. And choose something important, which causes you to feel anxiety or hurt or bitterness or fear. You all have something? Or you're all okay? Okay, so everyone has thought of something? Anyone doesn't have anything? They want to borrow from somebody else? Anyone want to lend their problem to someone else? You won't be charging for that, will you? So what did you say? You would lend your problem to someone? Is that what
you said, does anybody need? I said, I can't.
Yeah, you can have extra problems. You can hand them out. Okay. Okay. So is everyone ready? Okay, so the first part is saying, even though until now I have felt this, when or because or when I think of, I love and accept myself. You will find that in energy psychology, a basic prerequisite for letting go of an emotion is accepting it and accepting ourselves with it. This is very important. Because this is one of the, many people do not accept their emotions or don't accept themselves having these emotions. And that could be fear or pain or anger. So this is a very important prerequisite. The second is, I choose or deserve or accept to be free from this, and you say the emotion, in relationship to or when or because, and you name the stimulus, okay? So what I do is, there's two ways of doing this. I rub on the sore spot saying, even though I feel this, I say the emotion and the stimulus, I love and accept myself. I do that 3 times. And then on the other side, I say, I choose, or I deserve, or I accept to be free. And this is the second prerequisite, to accept being free from it. And we do this setup in order to work on the possible psychological reversal. You see? Okay, so we do that 3 times on each side. An alternative to that would be tapping here and saying, even though I feel this emotion in relation, I love and accept myself, and then I choose to be free. You can use either of those methods, okay? Then we start the tapping procedure. Now, you will find different tapping procedures from different teachers of EFT. The one that I have finally come to is tapping alternatively at the top of the head, and then coming down, and then with 2 fingers at the eyebrows, and then 2 fingers on the temples, alternatively, under the eyes, and all this time we are focusing, we are concentrating on the problem, on the stimulus and the emotion. And then on the lips, above and below, under the arms, no, under the arms, that's it, you got it, okay. Okay, then on the collarbone, just below the collarbone, And then I do this, the karate point. Okay? No, like this, like you're doing karate to yourself. Okay? Okay. Now, this is a process of causing the energy to flow. What we're doing here is we're making the energy move while we are focused on the problem. Okay? So all this time, I'm in my mind focusing on my anxiety, or on what I'm fearing, or what I'm feeling angry about. Okay? So we're changing the structure of our energy body in relationship to the stimulus. Then we want to balance, and we balance by tapping here at what Dr. Callahan calls the gamut point. Not on the side now, on the back of the hand. Okay, in the back of the hand. And we do this process. We look down to the right, hard to the left, down to the left. We make a big circle with our eyes in one direction, a big circle with our eyes in the other direction, and that's usually enough. But if you want to do it traditionally, you will do some humming and some counting and some humming. So the humming would be and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can hum anything you like. You can hum the Turkish national anthem if you want. Anything that you like to hum. Okay. So the thing is, why do we do the humming and the counting? It's to alternatively stimulate the two hemispheres of the brain. Because when we sing, we stimulate the right side of the brain. When we count, we stimulate the left side of the brain. It's the same reason why we move our eyes to the right and the left, to alternatively stimulate. And so what we're doing now is balancing the energy. Okay? So the way I do it is the setup, 3 times moving through the tapping, and at the end doing the balancing. Then we evaluate. Now, I didn't mention the SUD, the evaluation. SUDs is the subjective units of disturbance. It's subjective, we evaluate it, and it's how disturbed we feel. Okay? And so you focus on the emotion, and I would say from 0 to 10. If it's 0, it means I'm feeling fine, I have no disturbance. If it's 5, I'm somewhat disturbed. If it's 10, I'm really disturbed. And we use this as a measure to see whether we're free or not. So you bring it to your mind, and after you finish doing the tapping, you bring the stimulus to your mind again, and you say, okay, what do I feel now? Do I feel the same? You could feel the same. It's unusual. You could feel more. This could bring something up. It happens in about less than 1% of the cases, but it can happen. It can bring something up. You could feel differently, and you could feel a lessening of the intensity. We would, if it's gone down, we keep doing it until we bring it to 0 or 1 or 2, and then we will employ another method for installing the positive belief that we want to put into our minds. Okay, so we're going to work with the EFT to lessen the emotional intensity, and then use another method for installing the new positive belief that we want to create. Okay? Are there any questions before we go through the process altogether? Yes?
No questions, but thank you. I really feel better.
She feels better without doing it. You see how quickly it works? Well, that's what happened to Mary, the woman who feared the water. She didn't do all that. She didn't go here and here. She just did this. And it was finished. And this can happen. I mean, you can be, when you're in a situation, a social situation, you may not be able to go and sit there and do the rubbing and the tapping, but you can always do this, and you can do this a little bit. No one's going to give too much attention. Okay? You can rub here. This is a very important point. Okay? This point is very important, and this point. And there are times when you just do this, and it's finished. There are shortcuts. But before we learn the shortcuts, let's learn the process as it is. Okay? So, but anyway, have this shortcut in mind. When you have anxiety, when you have fear, when you have anything, this is the most important point. It's the end of the stomach meridian.
The right hand side?
No,
Right cheek?
both feet. Yeah, either the one or the other. Okay.
Either one or the other or both?
You can do one. Traditionally, EFT works on one side of the body. You don't have to do both sides. What we are doing is WHEE, which is the hybrid of EFT and EMDR. Why not get the benefit of both? Okay. Okay. Any questions before we perform the procedure? Okay. So, if you like, sit straight, and you might want to close your eyes at first. Well, it's okay, as long as you can see. Can you see? Okay. We're going to let it play. Does it have time? Yeah. Okay.